So we're going to move into the portion of the evening where we're going to award the Student Chapter Committee's most prestigious award. And I'd like to ask we bring the room to a hush, because this will be brief, I promise, but this is a incredible night, I think. This is an incredible event, so let's respect the event itself. I'd like to invite Brian Folk and Bill Houston to the stage.
I'd just like to open by saying to Bob Stewart that when New Zealand Oil and Gas acquires the best company on the planet, I'll put in a good word for you. My name is Bill Houston. I'm a past chair of the Student Chapters Committee. And if you'll bear with me for a moment, I'd just like to give you a brief history of the student programs in AAPG. The Student Chapter Program was initiated in 1978 by the Membership Committee. And it was for a 3-year pilot program that included 6 schools. And to give you an idea of how different enrollment was at that time, those 6 schools encompassed 250 students. And it was approved by the Executive Committee in 1979. And in minutes from that meeting was a note that the group that proposed for the Membership Committee, the Student Chapter Program, came to them with bylaws and an operations manual. And having just finished a term on the Executive Committee, I can honestly say that we don't see that very often. It's a level of detail that's pretty incredible, and it's a large part of why the program exists today, why it was approved. And I'll come back to the reason and the people behind that. But the program was conceived for 2 reasons: to use the chapters as a means of contact with the geological profession, both inside and outside of academia, and to get students to think of themselves as professionals prior to their graduation. An important message for you all to take away tonight, because that still stands as a major mission of AAPG student programs. The pilot program was chaired by Jim Hartman from 1981 to 1984. In 1981, the rapid expansion following the pilot program led the Executive Committee to make it a standing committee of AAPG. It was originally funded by AAPG and the AAPG Foundation, and in 1989, Shell contributed funding, and as you'll see tonight from the various signage and the slides, we now enjoy an incredibly robust and impressive number of corporate sponsors that are committed, long-standing members to AAPG student programs. In 1984, as a result of the success of the student program, the chapter program, they started the student field trip in San Antonio. There were 2 things that started: the student field trip and the general store. And the Executive Committee at that time specifically allocated that the profits from the general store go to the students that work the store, and that is true today. And so if you haven't entertained having your school work the store, do it. It's free money. From 1984 to 1995, there were only 20 people that participated in the Student Chapters Committee, which I find truly amazing, because for my time being chair of the committee, it's a tremendous amount of work. And I'd like to actually use that opportunity to give an extra round of applause for these 5 people on the screen, because they do a tremendous amount of work. Now, part of the success that we have today is because of Jim Hartman and the people that started the program, and there's been a lot of paying it forward. There's been a lot of people that have trained their protégés moving ahead, and I was one of those. When I was chair of the committee, I had a very good mentor by the name of Bob Shoup, who's back here in the really loud shirt. So I was chair in 2004 to 2007. Interesting anecdote that the very first student chapter was OU, and Don Oneski and Jim Hartman went to a meeting of that student chapter and were very impressed with the student chapter president named Bob Shoup. And if there's enough light back there, you can see Bob's hair color, so now you know how long the student chapter program's been around. So, in all fairness to everyone who's involved in making student programs work, there's a lot of names that have to be dropped, and certainly all the people that have served on the student chapter committee, and if all those people could please stand and be recognized. We have faculty sponsors, which are integral to keeping us plugged into the universities. There's obviously industry liaisons like Bob and the other sponsor representatives here. Specifically noted in a lot of the documentation at the beginning of the program were 4 names that came up repeatedly. One was the previous executive director, Fred Dix, Don Oneski, who is sitting down at the front table, and 2 APG staff, Norma Newby and Donna Riggs. And these people have stuck by this program forever, and you need to give them a great round of applause. So we're now at a point in time where we have, at any given time, approximately 130 student chapters active, representing thousands of student members. Student field trips full every single year, never a problem. And we're now in a situation where we have student chapters being very energized by participating in Imperial Barrel, and the Imperial Barrel Award also helping us recruit new student members. So the student membership is skyrocketing. And it all goes back to the group of people that had the guts to go to the executive committee in 1979 and to try to get them to fund this. And this was a very different model from anything that had been done in AAPG. We all know the discussion of the demographics of our industry. And in 1979, it was very unimodal. We're a little bit bimodal now because of the number of students and young professionals we have. But all the people I just mentioned, all the programs I mentioned exist today because there was a person that was the glue to all the people. And it was the first mentor of the subsequent mentors that have handed off to me, that have handed off to Richard. And that's the man that we're honoring tonight. And 5 or 6 years running now? How long have we had the award, Richard? About 5 or 6 years. We named the Jim Hartman Service to Students Award to specifically acknowledge a gentleman who had a very strong influence early on the success we see today and who stuck with us ever since. And Jim has been active and interested, and Richard's had a lot of talks with him recently. He's been supporting the programs both with his knowledge and with some financial support, and it's greatly appreciated. So it's my real pleasure to introduce Jim Hartman.
Nice big smiles. You just won a present. There you go.
Well, I must say I'm a little bit flabbergasted and almost speechless, but I've never had that problem before. So anyhow, Bill did an excellent job of encapsulating the program from the day we started. There was 1 or 2 things that he left out, which I will mention, and so that you get the full picture. First of all, we had 6 members from the membership committee that put together the bylaws and the operations manual. And these were Jules Bronstein, Charlie Dodge, Dave Eby, O.T. Hayward, Jim Knoll, and myself. And so I just wanted to mention these other people that were equally involved as I was. And the first 6 schools that were supposed to be just a pilot program were, excuse me, the University of New Orleans, Oklahoma, SMU, Texas A&M, Texas Tech, and we picked one that was out of the oil patch country, and we picked Maryland. So that was the first 6 schools that have now expanded to what we heard Bill say, what, 130 or 140 chapters? absolutely amazing. If you'd asked me in 1979 what the number of schools and the number of students would be in 2010 or 11, I sure as hell would never have guessed the number that's here. It's just those who have been the leadership in this have just done a fantabulous job. How's that? And of course, and all the student members that attend and benefit from it. So it's just my pleasure to say, keep going. And that's why I set up that endowment to help the student chapter program to survive. So good luck. May you get to 200 before I die. Thank you.
For only the second time, we have dual awardees of the Jim Hartman Service to Students Award. And I'll read you just the short reason why we give it. Award in recognition to long-term support of AAPG student members and significant contributions to the education and professional development of young geoscientists. Simple, huh? The first awardee can't be with us tonight. But we will send her a videotape of this presentation along with her plaque. And it's my pleasure to read the citation for giving this award to Connie Mongold, past chair of the IBA committee. The Imperial Barrel Award competition is amongst the most logistically and fiscally challenging international annual programs undertaken by the AAPG. Wow, I write better than I thought. Did you proof this, Richard? Since 2007, the evolution of the program has been extraordinary, with only 7 schools participating in the inaugural year to 104 participating in 2012. This places a daunting task upon the IBA committee to successfully implement the program while applying the discipline necessary to ensure the rapid evolution and expansion of the program abides by sound business and scientific practice. As the 2007 and 2009 chair of the IBA committee, Connie Mongold successfully steered the committee and program into uncharted waters and fueled the momentum and success that the program exhibits today. Connie's parallel consideration of program development, issues of regulation, and involvement and deployment of volunteers exhibited extraordinary awareness of the challenges to and solutions for the short-term stabilization of the program. She was a seminal influence on what the program would become, how it is administered, and what the key issues are for continued success. She accomplished this while navigating the sometimes difficult waters of being a young professional, endeavoring to foster her own professional success while spending great effort and time as a loyal and accomplished AAPG volunteer. For her bold contributions and successes, the AAPG recognizes Connie for her outstanding efforts, personal sacrifices, and record of accomplishment as a true champion of students and young professionals. So, Connie, into the camera, you deserve this. Congratulations.
Guess I'll just take it off, Bill. My name is Brian Falk. I work for Chesapeake Energy, for those of you who don't know me. It's a great honor to present this co-award to Steve Veal for his service to the Imperial Barrel Award. His citation is... Hold up, right? Steve? Yeah, Steve, come to the stage, because I'd like you to stand up here while I just pour praise on you. Steve, we're on a schedule. Come on. All right, man. Steve didn't know I could keep a secret. The Imperial Barrel Award competition has expanded rapidly over the last 4 years, growing from 7 participating teams in 2007 to 104 in 2012. Steve Veal has served as the chair of the IBA committee since 2009 and took over a promising new program from Connie Mongold. Building on Connie's momentum, Steve has ensured the future viability of the program through relentless fundraising and directed the program from being entirely subsidized by the executive committee to over a $500,000 campaign this year. Under Steve's guidance, the committee has been able to provide schools new to the program with the consultation and resources necessary to compete at a high level, encouraging repeat participation. The IBA competition provides future geologists a foreshadowing of what's to come professionally. Through his role as committee chair, Steve not only helped to cultivate technical skills among participants, like me, but provided many of them with their first personal experience with AAPG. Steve's leadership helped to ensure this was a memorable first impression of what AAPG has to offer young members. At the culmination of his stewardship of the IBA committee, his legacy will be the future achievements of a young generation of active AAPG members he helped to inspire. Steve has served this professional society for over 2 decades in a number of roles, but for his devotion in growing the IBA program to its current prominence, the AAPG recognizes him with this most deserved award.